Alrighty everyone, welcome back. Now, as we inch closer toward other movie releases by Disney, such as The Marvels, and let's not forget about Snow White 2024, we know that Bob Iger and the board are in full panic mode right now, embracing two more box office failures on top of what happened with Elemental, The Little Mermaid, and let's not forget about Indiana Jones 5 and The Haunted Mansion. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into what's going on with the Snow White live action remake. If you even want to call it a remake, by the way. I've said this multiple times, it doesn't even deserve to be called a remake because of how distant it really is from the 1937 original. You know, given that there's really only a couple of familiar aspects. You got a castle, you got an apple, and you've got Snow White and the Evil Queen as far as costumes go. That's really about it. You don't have no 7 dwarfs. There's not going to be a prince, you have a Jonathan. And on top of the list, we also have the fact that this is going to be a modern spin on the 37 original. However, this is where things get even worse for Snow White 2024. Now, we already know that they are under hefty re-edits for this film. Director Mark Webb has been instructed by Disney to pass this down to the editors, to spruce up the pacing of this movie, to shave down the running time, because this movie was going to be close to 3 hours, believe it or not, like 2 hours and 40 minutes and change, give or take. And they really want to dial back on that, because they probably know that they're going to lose a lot of fan interest. More than, I would say, a third of the way through, people are probably going to walk out for anybody that even decides to see this. However, now on top of that, with Snow White 24 going through many issues behind the scenes, one major development has to do with the test screening that went totally wrong for the live action remake. Now, one specific sequence that got such negative feedback from screeners involved a full-fledged scene in which the 7 magical creatures all singing a song to Rachel Zegler's Snow White. This is said to be an original song that sends a message to its core audience, where the song is about rising to become a leader and to believe in yourself. This is where the 7 dwarfs begin to provide Snow White a new Robin Hood-like clothing and attire, and even a staff-like weapon before they go marching into the field. Now, this segment in which they march into the field could very well be linked to that famous leaked photograph of the magical creatures that surfaced weeks ago. Now, guys, let me just say one thing about that. Now, the fact that there is going to be an original song done by the 7 magical creatures is going to be ultra cringe in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but we have never seen anything like this before. You gotta remember the fact that these are not the original characters that you know and love from the 37 original that did sing songs, but in this case, it's a very odd, strange, weird, off-put take on the 7 dwarves. You have people now ranging multiple heights, different ethnicities, different genders even, and it just is a mixed bag. It really is going to be quite a terror to see and hear this on the big screen for anyone who takes the challenge to see this movie. So, moving on forwards, alright, this is where matters get even worse, is that additionally another segment for the test screening that went completely wrong involved Gal Gadot and her performance as the Evil Queen, where she has a scene in which the acting was reportedly very subpar. It's a scene where Gal is singing as the old hag, and the lyrics revolve around manifesting her excitement about getting ready to fool Snow White through her witch-like appearance. Not only did screeners find the lyrics and singing to be atrocious by Gal, but also the makeup was reportedly very underwhelming, almost as if it was rushed and done for a costume test, rather than for the final cut of the film. So, here's another problem. The fact that even the practical effects are getting cheapoed out by Disney just goes to show you how, you know, lazy they really are when it comes to their movies, how cheap they are beginning to get with their movies. Let's not forget about what they did with Anakin Skywalker in that flashback of the Obi-Wan series, where Anakin, aka Hayden Christensen, literally looked like a 40-year-old man trying to play a 19 to 20-year-old person. In some shots, it really showed. Other shots, they were able to mask it more. But a lot of it had to do with their budgeting. They didn't want to waste so much money on de-aging. And that just goes to show you about Disney's true nature, about what they passed down to Marvel, what they passed down to Lucasfilm, and the same applies here for Snow White with the practical effects, with the prosthetics, if you will, for Gal. And I can only imagine what this version of the old hag is going to look like. Now, we have, all these concepts that we've gone over where they might just make Gal appear older in appearance. They could very well also make her literally look like the witch that you all have seen in the 37 original. There's been a lot of descriptions before in the past that she will don the original cloak with the hood over her head and actually have that witch-like appearance, alright? So, moving on forwards, this is where it gets even worse. Now, the screening session were so bad, alright, the screening sessions were so bad that Disney is now considering whether or not to delete some more of those song scenes in order to prevent further backlash from the general public. There was even a shot in which Gal's laughter as the old hag was reportedly the worst closing moment for the song that got the worst reaction from the first act of the film, which was only made of course, putting Disney into a more difficult position. Now, I can only imagine to that extent as well, guys, what that's gonna sound like. You all may remember the iconic laughter of the old hag from Snow White 1937. You can't forget it. Once you hear it, you know where that's from. I don't know how Gal emulates that. I don't know how they went about doing that, but apparently it is atrocious as far as how Gal performed that laughter, even with the sound engineer's help, trying to kind of modulate her voice and alter it. It even came across as very bad, even with all of the post-production work. So I think it just goes to show you that Disney is really just dropping the ball with this movie. They don't know what to do. They are in a vice, and it's closing in on them. They don't know what to do. They know that if they back out of this movie and they shelve it, that's admitting defeat. But they also know if they release this movie, they are going to get backlash like they have never seen. And so there really is no escape for them as far as a negative path goes. They know that either way, it's going to make themselves look bad. And that's all their fault. They were asking for it. That's what they got coming to them for doing what they did with the Seven Dwarfs, doing what they did with the whole modern spin nonsense and how Snow White doesn't need to be saved by a prince. Again, to me, it's all about defending pop culture. It's all about defending, normalcy and common sense. That's what I truly care about when it comes to a movie like Snow White. That's the main reason why I love to talk about this and defend it. And what I mean is defend the original 37 film, not 2024. 24 is going to be, I feel, the peak failure of Disney. It's not going to get any worse than that, in my opinion at least. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.